Some stand-up gigs. Oh, you emailed me back about my hosting gig.
Yeah, man. How'd that go?
Well, I owe you a story. Long story short, it didn't go. I almost hosted it. It was my first gig, hosting. I got a call after I did like an incredible set Thursday. I was so hyped on this set that I was just like pretty much out all night with friends, like drinking and just like fucking goofing and chilling. I was like so hyped on this set. And then the next day I get a call from the booker, a text message at like 2:30 that was like, hey, there's this progressive comedy tour coming through town. Do you want to host this? I'm supposed to do it and I don't want to. And I didn't see that text till 5 o'clock that day, and I was like, oh, like, no problemo. Good luck with your event. You know? And she was like, oh, actually, like, we still need somebody. Can you do this? And I was like, of course. Of course I can. It's in like an hour at this point. So I live stream myself on Instagram, sending this fucking email that I sent to my newsletter. Because you got to put some boring stuff on Instagram. You know, everyone else is trying to make their life look amazing. I'm out here, an advocate, you know, for normalcy, just live streaming myself sending an email. So I do that. I drive to the event. I get there. That's not true. There was an incident on the way to the event that I think did some damage to my karma. So we were on the way to the progressive comedy tour, and we stop at a red light. Emily's driving. She's giving me a ride there. Hamish is in the back, and I'm in the passenger seat. And we pull up next to this little, you know, homeless camp / community center / bar and tavern, you know, like this, just like a group of homeless people hanging out. And as we were sitting there, they shake down these people walking up for change. And the people are like, nah, got nothing. And then he like turns and looks in the window of the car, and he was like, how about you, man? Like, do you have anything? And there I am, you know, on the way to the progressive comedy tour, when this homeless dude's like, you got any quarters? And I like, no, I have quarters, you know. Maybe not on me, but like I've got some at home, you know. Like I've got plenty of quarters. And I'm just like, And then Emily's like, oh, I've got these dimes, and starts to hand me a dime. And then the light turns green. So at this point, Emily's handed me a dime. The man starts accelerating. The man starts running after the car. And basically, he looks like Santa Claus, but if Santa Claus, like, hasn't had nearly enough cookies for, like, years. So it's like an old, like, thin man chasing after the car. I'm holding a dime in my hand. And at this point, I realize what's going down. I realize what's happening. Like, this is terrible. Like, so I start laughing just so loud, like a hyena. And I was still laughing when I threw the dime out of the car. Because what am I going to keep the dime? I can't keep the dime. So the dime, like, hits the ground. Hamish has his head in his hand. Emily's shaking her head. I'm still laughing like a hyena. And the man, like, stops running after the car. And we drive to the rest of the show. And my friends are just appalled. They're like, what the fuck? Like, why'd you have to laugh like that? You know, they were asking me questions that I just couldn't answer. Like, why did you make that look? Like, why did I throw my head back like that? They were really uncomfortable with all of it. But, like, I knew what was going to happen. Like, I knew I knew I was throwing the dime at the homeless man, and there's like no way around it. And I was on the way to the Progressive Comedy Tour, and they probably weren't even gonna let me in, cause like they'd know, that I'm pretty much Hitler throwing fucking change at homeless people. And we get there, and it's bumping. The place is fucking jumping. It doesn't look like any fucking comedy show that I've ever been at, because there's like so many people there. So many fucking people. And I'm like, damn, like, is this the right place? So I asked the hostess, like, hey, are you guys having an event tonight? And they were like, yeah, there's a comedy show. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm the host. And they're like, nah, that guy's the host. And they point at another comedian. I don't really recognize him. I'm like, oh, I think that's the star. I might be the host. That's like the feature or whatever. And then the venue owner walks up, and she's like, oh, like, I told Michelle, like, I found my own host. Thanks for being so, like, willing and available. We'll comp your tickets. And I was like, word. And the hostess was like, it's $1 to be a member of the club. And I was like, Hamish, let's go. So we left, and we went back to the Fuzzy Triangle, Lazy Diamond, whatever, and bought some tequila shots, and I drank those. And then I went and found the homeless dude and gave him a 10 spot and was like, I'm sorry, I threw that dime at you, bro. And did my fucking tight 5 for him and called it a night.
Yeah, dude. Well, now you got a bit out of it, I guess.
Yeah, man, joke kind of writes itself, doesn't it?
I guess, man, that she doesn't put you in the best light, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, well.
I mean, because that's $10 later, so shit, that's kind of overcompensating.
Yeah.
Good for you, I guess. I should start chasing cars, man. If there's a turn around, give me...
Some stand-up gigs. Oh, you emailed me back about my hosting gig.
Yeah, man. How'd that go?